I want to talk about how to rediscover yourself or how to get a sense of a direction when life changes. Like when there are life changes such as divorce or parents passing away or breakups, or we're becoming new mothers, or our children are growing up and they're leaving us, they're leaving the house, and or whatever it is, different. There's These are just some examples of what big life changes or things that could happen that can create a sense of, self discovery, or like a need for clarity or a need for a direction. And we can become so confused as life begins to change, or we need to move, or we need to go do something else, or things get shaken up. And it's very common for a lot of the people that I work with to come to me during these life changes because of how confusing it can be. And that is one of the biggest things that a lot of my clients that come to me want, is that direction. Like, how can I navigate this? How can I stay strong? How can I feel okay during this change? How can I navigate this loss or this change or this new beginning, right? Because the thing about it, life changes, is there are pros and cons to everything. There's so many mixed emotions on what's going on. There's some excitement to expense on any life change. There's some grieving to any life change. And the biggest thing is especially when we've been in a relationship for so long, or when we've been a mom, or like this has just been like a title for us for so long, and that title starts to shift, or that title starts to change, we can start to really question, well, who are we without this person? Or who are we without this title? And who are we going to be with this new title, right? And all of these things. And I've navigated a lot. For me personally, my own healing journey was actually awakened by massive life changes. My dad died unexpectedly, and I had to navigate who I was as somebody who didn't have that parental figure in their life, because my dad did everything for me, and my dad took care of me. Like, I really had to step from this kind of, even though I was a young adult, I was 20 years old when he died. I had to step from this lack of responsibility into this massive role of responsibility when he passed away, because I depended on him so much. And that was a massive awakening for me. And that was a really hard thing for me to navigate. And not long after, I went through more life changes. I had my daughter, I became a mom. That was a massive change in a step up in maturity and responsibility, and just having to know who I was. And now not only having to navigate how to take care of myself, which at the time was really hard to do because I was extremely depressed, had a lot of anxiety. I was not taking care of myself. But now not only was I responsible for taking care of myself, which, by the way, I didn't feel I was doing a good job of at the time, I was now responsible for this child, this infant. And that was making things really, really hard for me. And then not long after my daughter was born, I went through a very traumatic divorce with my daughter's father. And all of those life changes kept happening to me back to back to back. And I didn't even have a chance to navigate one of them, let alone all of them. And so I ended up actually having to figure out how to navigate who I was, and how to navigate how to get out of all of that stress and that turmoil all at once from all three experiences. And that's actually what's led me here. So all of those big life changes have actually been the reason I do what I do today. And it's really important. Today, obviously, it's a journey. This is one of the biggest things that I like to share with people who get on calls with me, with people who are interested in doing my programs, because especially when they're navigating life changes, or this is another thing, if they know a life change is needed or it's coming up, right? Like, they think like maybe things haven't changed, but they feel like they need a change, right? And so either way, whether you have been thrown into a change or you know you need a change, those are two really common things to need that sense of direction, to figure out, like, who am I and how do I want to go forward? And so on today's training, I want to talk about, like, where to start, right? This is a process. So like what I was going to say is what I like to remind my clients or the people that come into my world is that this is a process. This direction and this change and this navigation of life changes is not meant to happen overnight. Okay. It is a step by step, small little things at a time will allow that clarity, allow that deep understanding, allow that transformation to unfold. It is a process. Okay. So it is not like you are going to change who you are or change your life overnight. It has to be a step-by-step process. And that's something I like to just say as a reassurance thing, because when we know we need a change in our life or when we're going through a change, the fear of the unknown can be crippling. And so the beautiful part about that reminder of this is a process, this isn't going to happen overnight, is you don't have to be afraid, because when you are taking bite-sized pieces of the process, it will allow you to feel more in control of where you're going, of how you're going there, and why you're going there. It's not like it's just happening to you. Because now when you take the wheel of transformation and change in your own life, now you are taking the wheel of navigation, and you get to decide, why do I want this? Where am I going? Is this what I want? And it's not like you're being blindsided by these things. And that's why I think a lot of people go this direction when they go through a life change, or when they feel like a life change is coming up, or they need a life change. And it's because it's scary. We don't know where we're going to end up necessarily, but when we start to turn towards awareness and conscious decisions, and it being intentional about how we're showing up and who we want to be, we get to gain more control of the path that we are paving for ourselves. So I hope this is making sense so far. So I just want to talk about like the starting this navigation of discovering ourselves after a life change, or when we're beginning to step into a life change. Okay. Now, these are the things that we can control. These are the things that will help us feel grounded during the changes that are coming up or that you are navigating. Okay. So the first thing that is really important that I have my clients focus on, because these are the things that are going to make you feel grounded. And these are the most important things. These are your foundation. These are the things that are going to help you feel good and feel safe to move forward, to heal, to do whatever you've got to do. Because usually with life changes comes navigating a lot of really uncomfortable emotions. And we're not going to be able to navigate and heal those uncomfortable emotions if we do not feel safe, if we do not feel grounded in that process. Okay, so this is kind of the starting phase, if you will, of soul healing, of going in and healing and figuring out who you are and stepping into your true potential, and really creating the life that you want to create. So we have to have this foundation. So the first thing that we're going to want to do that's really important is not necessarily tap into what are your goals. You can call them goals, but for the most part, you want to look at them as, what do you want to experience? What are you currently experiencing in the big 5 areas of your life, right? So I like to look in terms of the big 5 areas. Okay, so we've got our health, we've got relationships, finances, career, spirituality, maybe something else for you guys, right? Like whatever it is for you on an individual level. Those are the big 5 I typically look at and work with my clients. And what are we experiencing? What are we currently experiencing in these areas? What are the stories we're telling ourselves? What are our patterns? What are our behaviors? How are we showing up? What is the identity around this? And what do we want to be experiencing instead? Where are we, right? Whether we're navigating a life change, or we want a life change, or we're feeling called for a life change, where are we? Where are we in that process? What are we experiencing in this process? And where do we want to be? Where do we feel we want to get to? And I like to look in terms of experience. How do we want to feel? What do we want to experience? What do we want things to be like? What do we want things to be happening like around us, right? So getting clarity on where we are in terms of experience versus where we want to be in terms of experience. I think goals are great, but like more so why, right? Like sure, what is the goal, but what is the experience that that goal is going to produce for you? That's really what you're looking for, is the experience of which what you think the goal is going to give to you, right? It's not, we don't go for goals because of the goals, we go for what we think the goal is going to do for us. So think about things in terms of experience. This will help ground that path and kind of give you an idea. And another thing, it's really beautiful because you're like, this is what I'm experiencing. And sometimes we're experiencing a lot of suffering, a lot of stress and anxiety and all of these things. And we see where we want to get to. And that can be really grounding because it's like, well, I want to move from stress to peace. I want to move from chaos to balance and order, right? And then we start to realize we're already in probably maybe the worst case situation that we could be in for this moment. And the only place left to go is up, right? So, and this doesn't necessarily mean that your life is bad or things are terrible, but for the most part, if you're in this self-discovery mode, I'm willing to bet it's because things are not going the way that you want them to go in all areas of your life, right? So that's another thing that helps you ground, is realizing I'm already kind of at ground zero. I'm already kind of in like the worst place, right? That I could be, or not necessarily the worst place you could be, but like I'm already in a place where I'm not comfortable. The only other place to go is up. So that helps with the grounding. Okay. And like feeling a little bit safer. Now, step 2, once we figure out what we want to experience, the next thing that I like to have my clients do is figuring out what are the priorities, right? So not necessarily, again, not necessarily the goals, but like what are the priorities? What are those top 5 areas or top 3 areas of life for you? What are the top 5, the top 3 to 5 things that are most important to you? What are your responsibilities? What are your priorities? What are the things that you want to spend time on? What are the things that you want to make sure are good? Now, this is important because me as a mom, a business owner, a partner, I have a lot of hats that I wear. So when life starts to change, and this has happened to me this year, and I'm so thankful for the tools that I have and the understandings that I have, because my mom got sick at the beginning of this year or the end of last year, and I became her caregiver unexpectedly, and she passed away this year. So that was a lot to navigate over this past year. And the only reason I was able to do it was because of this, what I'm teaching you guys right now, the foundation. These are the starting steps. Now, of course, like I said, the next phase is moving into emotional navigation, inner navigation, like mental and emotional navigation. And so we're not getting into that today. So there is more to it. But this is the foundation that keeps you grounded and keeps you stable and secure enough so that you can go into phase 2 of that mental and emotional navigation. Okay. So with that being said, my mom, I became a caregiver for her, and she passed away. And the only reason I was able to do that is because I was very clear on what do I want to experience and what are my priorities. What are my priorities? What are my responsibilities? And how can I navigate and balance all of them? So what I have my clients do is figure out what are those priorities? What are the responsibilities? And we include it all. We include the self-discovery. We include what you have to be as a daughter, as a sister, as a mother, as a lover, as a wife, as whatever. All of those things are so important. And the self-discovery, the inner healing journey is not to take away from anything else. You can have it all, but you have to be very clear on what the priorities are and what are the habits that you have to have daily to maintain it all, right? So that is the next thing that I guide my clients through, is what is the experience you want to have? What are the priorities and the responsibilities that kind of help you maintain or help you reach this experience or help fulfill those experiences? And what are the habits within those areas, within those priorities, within those responsibilities that we need to have in order to maintain and navigate and balance all of it together? Okay, so I hope this is helpful so far. I hope this is valuable. I hope you guys are getting something from it so far. Now, the final thing that I want to touch on today in today's training in this phase of grounding and feeling safe is how to amplify energy. Okay, because it is very important. The only way we're going to kind of create a new experience and move closer to the experience we want to have is if we get a grasp and get a hold on our energy. So the next thing that I have my clients do is after they have figured out like where they want to be, what they want to be experiencing, what their priorities are, what they're juggling, what they need to balance, and the habits that they need to create to balance that. The next thing is tapping into their energy and how they're showing up in those habits, how they're showing up in maintaining those priorities, and how they're showing up in those big 5 areas of life. So we have to tap into what's draining your energy and what's giving you energy. We need to look and we need to be honest about what are the habits, what are the things that we're doing each and every day, what are the time of days, like the morning, afternoon, evening, what time of days are draining our energy, what tasks are draining our energy, what people, what experiences are draining our energy, and is there something we can put in place to make a shift in that energy? Can we let that thing go completely? Can we put a boundary in place to make sure that that thing is not going to drain our energy? So, for example, do we have a boundary can look like having a time limit. Oh, I can spend 15 minutes on this task and I'm good, but anything beyond that, I get crazy, right? Or I know that I have to do this. It's going to take me an hour to do it, but I'm going to take a bath, or I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go do something afterwards to replenish and recharge my energy, right? We're going to look at what gives us energy. And if there's a thing on the list that drains your energy that can't necessarily be let go of, but we have to do it anyways because we're going to have some of those, then we have plans and boundaries in place to make sure that they don't zap us, to make sure that they don't take us out of alignment and put us into stress or put us into survival, so that we are now we're yelling at our kids, or we're yelling at our lovers, and we're showing up in a way that's not making us happy or in alignment with who we want to be and how we want to be showing up, right? So we set a boundary, we let that thing go, or we create a new perspective, right? So this is a simple example of shifting an energetic perspective. Okay, so let's say we're complaining a lot and being in traffic drains our energy. A simple shift of, okay, let's not focus on what's going wrong, right? Like, let's not focus on being late. Let's not focus on being stuck in traffic. What can we focus on, right? We have no control over what's going wrong, right? Because we're stuck in traffic. There's a wreck. There's something going on that's impeding our ability to get there, right? So how can we focus on what's going well? Well, maybe I'm running late because this situation is keeping me safe from harm that I'm not aware of, right? It's keeping me safe. Oh, you know what? I can listen to some music right now. I'm going to take some time for myself. There's nothing I can do about this being late. I'm going to take some time for myself and listen to music. I'm going to take some time for myself and listen to my book, whatever, right? Like, what can we do to focus on why it's a blessing that this challenge is happening, or this thing that's typically draining our energy? How can we be grateful instead? These are ways to amplify our energetic perspectives and our energetic frequencies. Okay, so we might need to let it go completely. We might need to set a boundary or make a plan around the thing that we have to do, or we might just need to notice where we are on the scale of what's going well versus what's not going well, and move towards that scale of why is everything okay? What is the good things coming from this? And why can I enjoy what is going on right now, right? So we've got to amplify that energy. And again, all of these things are just like phase one. I like to call these things phase one of getting that direction and getting that clarity and moving into a place where you can be grounded and you can feel safe to start to navigate that emotional and mental phase of the healing process, of the transformation process, and so that you can step into creating the life that you want to have, creating the experience that you want to have within yourself and in your life. And we've got to go through these phases, right? And again, this is an important phase. We have to have that groundedness. We have to feel safe. We have to feel stable in order to be able to move into those mental and emotional territories. So that's all I have for you guys today. I really hope that this was helpful. And if you guys are on a self discovery or rediscovery journey or an inner healing journey, and you want some support or some personalized support, I do these free 15-minute soul clarity tarot readings. And they take about 15 minutes. I ask a few questions. I connect with your higher self. And then I give you a reading to figure out what needs to be healed, how can you heal it, and what are the best steps you can take to move forward into creating the life that you want to create. So this will really help you get some personalized clarity. So if you'd like to have that, please use the link above this video to click that and book your soul healing clarity reading. And if you guys have any questions or thoughts about today's training, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you guys really enjoyed today's training, and I'll see you guys next week.